The theme for this year's World Meteorological Day is the ocean, our climate, and weather. Covering some 70% of the Earth's surface, the ocean is a major driver of the world's weather and climate. It also plays a central role in climate change. The ocean is also a major driver of the global economy, carrying more than 90% of the world trade and sustaining the over 40% of the humanity that lives within 100 kilometers of the coast. Outside of the Earth's equatorial areas, weather patterns are driven largely by ocean currents. Those currents act much like a conveyor belt, transporting warm water and precipitation from the equator towards the pole and cold water from the poles back to the tropics. This year's theme celebrates the World Meteorological Organization's WMO focus on connecting the ocean, climate, and weather within the Earth system. It also marks the launch of the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, covering the period 2021 to 2030, aimed at galvanizing efforts to an ocean science through innovation and transformative ideas as a basis for information to support sustainable development. Studying the ocean is also essential for gaining a better understanding of human-induced climate change. The ocean stores most of the heat that is trapped by humanity's greenhouse gases and plays a major role in how climate change is progressing. It also absorbs most of the carbon dioxide emitted by human activities, causing seawater to become less alkaline. This is already damaging coral reefs and the reef fisheries on which very many people rely. The government of Kenya is fully committed to addressing climate change domestically, as well as demonstrating leadership in global fight against climate change. This is why Kenya is an active member of the Paris Agreement. Kenya submitted an ambitious nationally determined contribution to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. That NDC was the second one, which we submitted in December last year, and it's anchored on the Paris Agreement as a 5-year national determined contribution iterative cycle. It is informative that the Paris Agreement indeed recognizes the role of NDCs and national action plans as the vehicles for delivering on mitigation and adaptation obligations, respectively, under the agreement. Our NDC reiterates that adaptation is Kenya's priority response to climate change and that a national action plan is the foundation of Kenya's contribution on adaptation. The NDC report that we submitted in December clearly indicated that we require a lot of money to deal with climate change. It indicates that between 2020 and 2030, we shall require $44 billion to adapt to climate change, while we shall require $18 billion or 1.8 trillion Kenya shillings to mitigate against climate change. So it is going to be very costly for us to deal with climate change. Kenya has 630-kilometer coastline. The coastal zone not only sustains but also contributes significantly to the economic development of the country. The second largest town in Kenya, Mombasa, which is a major port and fisheries project, is located within the Kenyan coastal zone. Thus, any significant sea level rise could have serious and profound effects on the livelihood as well as the well-being of large proportion of the coastal population. Global sea level also has been rising over the past century, and the rate has increased in recent decades. In 2014, global sea level was 2.6 inches above the 1993 average, the highest annual average in the satellite record between 1993 and the present moment. Sea level continues to rise at a rate of about 1/8 of an inch per year. A combination of sea level rise and a change in river discharge due to global warming is expected to result in saltwater intrusion into freshwater aquifers along the coastlines. This is already happening along the Kenyan coastline, and it is likely to cause negative impacts on freshwater resources, which are crucial for regions' socio-economic development. It is therefore necessary to appreciate the role of the oceans in ensuring a reduction in loss of livelihoods for people living within the coastal zones. the Ministry of Environment and Forestry will continue in its efforts to rehabilitate the mangrove because we consider this an important component of the 10% tree cover. The mangroves cover the ocean shores and they help to reduce the risk of erosion and saltwater intrusion. So we shall continue to double up our efforts, ensuring that the entire coastal zone is covered with more mangroves. So yeah, as we celebrate this day, it is important to take note of the fact that every year on March 21st we celebrate the World Forestry Day. 22nd March we are celebrating the World Water Day. Today we are celebrating the World Meteorological Day. So you can see there is a close relationship in these events, because you're talking about forestry, you're talking about water and meteorology, because water and forestry are related, and meteorology helps us to give us information about the weather forecast, which we are able to take into account in our actions as we plan whatever we want to do. So we call on Kenyans to take the opportunity as we go into the season of tree planting to double up their efforts to plant trees. We just require a target of 50 trees to be planted by every Kenyan in 1 year. And we expect only 35 of us, 35 million people, with each one planting 50 or to 60 seedlings. That should give us the target that we require. We have already opened an e-portal with the Kenya Forest Service for those who want to register to do nurseries. They are all encouraged to register their nurseries, and we are going to use Carefree and Carefest to certify those nurseries, and therefore recommend any of the partners who want to purchase seedlings to buy from those registered nurseries. We are also working with the Ministry of Education and the Kenya Prison Services to see that those schools or the prisons that have water and that have land, and since they already have labor, that they also engage in more nurseries. And therefore next year we expect that the entire republic should be engaged more in meeting the target that we have set, which is 2 billion. 10% is just where we want to start, but we really need to move more, because forests are important. They act as lungs for the environment. They provide us with oxygen. They absorb the carbon dioxide. They provide many ecological functions, many economic. They have many economic. They are good for economic reasons. We need timber. We need many other products. It's also good for medicinal value. So it is important that we take this as an important sector of our economy. Finally, we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture under a World Bank project called Kenya Climate Smart Agriculture, KSAP, to ensure that we provide more information to the farmers, because we are now in a situation where there's climate change and we sometimes have a period of drought or period of flooding. Our farmers require a lot of information to take when they are making their decisions. So we are going to increase the number of equipment for the Kenya Meteorological Department across all the counties, so that they increase their accuracy for forecasting, and therefore we shall be more accurate in providing information about weather. Instead of saying weather around Nairobi, we shall be talking about weather in Dandora at this particular time will be this much, and that will be really great. And therefore calling upon farmers not to continue relying on traditional models. They should now embrace the fact that we have new technology. We can give information that is more realistic, because the Kenya Meteorological Department is now more accurate in its forecasting, and will even become more accurate as we go forward. Thank you very much.